It is Graham here, living the dream in 2022, and welcome to Nashville, the home of Music City, USA. For me, this is where the work begins on the trip because I've got a couple of my team coming into town today and tomorrow, and the next day we're going to be doing some strategizing because we really haven't got together in the company now for more than 2 years since the pandemic. So it's time to do a little bit of work, but we're going to do that here in Nashville while enjoying beer, bourbon, barbecue, and listening to great music. What a better way to strategize in your business. Right, let's get back into the video, and what I'm going to do first of all is take you on a tour of our Airbnb here in Nashville, Tennessee. Entering our Airbnb in Nashville from the corridor, we were in Mint Studio 105. And whoever Mint are, they run a number of Airbnbs in the Nashville area, including more than a few in this particular building. So you enter the apartment using a digital keypad. And Mint are very clear, pointing out in their paperwork that they are fully certificated by the city of Nashville for short-term rentals in this apartment block. As we make our way down the entrance corridor of this very well-appointed apartment, the first place that you will enter is the living room kitchen area. But entering the last door on the right in that entrance corridor, and you will find the washing machine and tumble dryer. Our washing had all been brought up to date while we were in Detroit, so we would not be using the washing machine or tumble dryer during our 3 nights in Nashville. As we enter the living room kitchen area, you're presented with a 2-seater sofa, 2 chairs, coffee table, all in front of the wall-mounted flat-screen TV, which simply wasn't switched on during our 3 nights at this Airbnb in Nashville, Tennessee. So turning round and looking at the kitchen area, there is a very reasonable fridge freezer. And given that Fiona and I were only staying here for 3 nights, we made the 10-minute walk down to a Publix. And as you can see, we picked up the essentials. And next to the fridge freezer, there is a coffee machine, microwave oven, and cooker. And during our 3 nights here in Nashville, we had no need for the microwave or the cooker, but the coffee machine was well used, I can tell you. However, we did use the toaster, and given that we only made a light breakfast during our 3 mornings in this apartment, we simply washed the dishes and didn't bother with the dishwasher, but it was there if you needed it. And there was a decent sized sink to wash the few dishes that we had to wash. And as you can see, there was plenty of bowls, plates, and cups available on the shelves above the small but very well appointed kitchen in this Airbnb. And in the kitchen area behind the 2-seater sofa, there was a small table with 2 chairs. And given there wasn't an office desk, I used this table to work at in the mornings before heading to meet the team in Nashville. And because 105 was a ground floor studio, there was patio doors that led outside to this small sitting area. And I do want to say this, it was very noisy out here because we were next to a highway. When we visited Nashville at the beginning of week 2 in April 2022, there was a lot of construction going on around our Airbnb. But when those patio doors were closed, we heard absolutely nothing. There was absolutely no disturbance from the building or the road noise next to our apartment. But let's be absolutely clear, guys, when you're in Nashville, you're not wanting to spend any time in your Airbnb apartment. You're wanting to enjoy Music City, USA. As we re-enter our apartment to take a look at the bedroom and the bathroom, I should also tell you that free Wi-Fi was provided, and it was really good. It must have been some sort of fiber service because I was uploading plenty of photographs from my phone to OneDrive, and the speed was exceptional. Anyway, back to the tour of Mint Studio 105 here in Nashville, Tennessee. The single bedroom was accessed through 2 metal sliding doors off the kitchen living room. I think we slid the doors closed on our first night only and didn't bother during nights 2 and 3. Given it was early April and the sun was rising around 7 a.m, the light coming in through the closed blinds on the patio doors simply didn't bother Fiona and I at all. Right, while Fiona is washing the breakfast dishes, let's take a look at the bedroom and bathroom. I'm not sure whether this bed is what we would refer to here in Europe as a king or a super king, but it was pretty substantial and very comfortable. And above the bed there was a ceiling fan which assisted the awesome air conditioning, but again, being early April 2022, air conditioning wasn't really needed during our visit to Nashville. And as you can see, the two metal sliding doors did close, cutting off all light from the kitchen living area. So all in all, the bedroom was very well appointed. Under the nightstands, or the bedside cabinets as we call them here in the UK, there were power points. And opposite the bed there was a walk-in closet with an ironing board and an iron, and plenty of hanging space. But again, we were only here for 3 nights, so there was plenty of hanging space for both Fiona and I. And as you can see, there were additional towels and pillows available if we required them. So that's the closet, guys, more than adequate for our 3 nights in Nashville. So it is time to move on to the final room in our Airbnb, and of course that's the bathroom, which is just situated on the other side of the bedroom, which, as you will see in a second, was more than enough for our short stay in Nashville, providing a toilet, a wash hand basin with a vanity mirror, and plenty of storage in the built-in cabinet. And of course there was the usual 110 American power sockets, and as you can see, the shower was over the bath. But to be honest, the only disappointing thing about this apartment was the shower itself. The bottom line was it wasn't very powerful. But again, we were only here for 3 nights, so it wasn't a big deal at all. And yeah, there were plenty of spare toilet rolls, something that you sometimes find is not that plentiful in Airbnbs. But thankfully not in this Airbnb run by Mint Studios here in Nashville. But all in all, the bathroom was more than acceptable and completely satisfied our needs for our 3 nights in this Airbnb. So with the loo review over, I'm going to leave you with some photographs of our Airbnb here in Nashville before we take you outside and into the sunshine to enjoy our first full day here in Nashville, Tennessee. As we make our way out of our Airbnb towards the sunshine of Nashville, we have to negotiate the rabbit warren of corridors of this apartment complex. Our Mint Studio number 105 was on the ground floor, which is also the parking level. So Fiona and I would take the lift, or should I call it the elevator, because we're here in the USA. Anyway, we need to take the elevator up 1 level to the ground floor, and if you think we're being rather lazy, to be quite honest, guys, Fiona and I simply never found the stairs. Anyway, talking about the parking level, with our Airbnb rental came a parking space. Again, something else Fiona and I had no need for during our 3 nights in Nashville. But I'm in no doubt that a parking space will be important to more than a few people looking for an Airbnb here in Nashville. And as we continue making our way through this rabbit warren of corridors, you're going to see the gym in a minute. Yes, guys, this apartment complex also has a gym, and it's available to both residents and guests. And I suppose it is at this point I should probably say that I know that Airbnb tends to get a bad reputation when it comes to short-term lets in a residential apartment complex. But during our 3 nights at this excellent complex only 6 blocks from Broadway in downtown Nashville, we heard no excessive noise, and all of the residents and guests seemed to be very friendly. And just in case you were wondering, the doors to the outside were also secured by a keypad entry system. So Fiona's and my plan today was very simple. It was a gorgeous day with temperatures forecast to go into the mid-20s. So that is the high 70s and low 80s for any Americans watching this video. So right now we're heading in the direction of the Cumberland River. And from there we would take a walk into Broadway itself, hoping to avoid the madness and chaos that we witnessed last night. Because after arriving in Nashville yesterday afternoon, Fiona and I headed into Broadway that evening. I should point out that it was a Saturday night and the CMTs were being broadcast on Monday. So Nashville was going to be more than a little crazy this weekend. So after checking out a few of the stores on Broadway, which really amounted to Fiona looking for cowboy, or is it cowgirl boots, she even tried to persuade me to buy a pair. Unsuccessfully, I may add. We made the 30-minute walk to Jonathan's, a restaurant recommended by Denise's son Michael, who was currently living in Nashville. And after sharing a couple of texts, Michael actually joined us for some drink. The chaos of Broadway had put Fiona and I in mind for a slightly earlier night to prepare ourselves for the next day. So all our thanks are going to Michael, who rescued our first night in Nashville. Because the evening turned into a little bit of a session. It was a fantastic evening, and thank you so much to Michael for all your excellent advice regarding all things Nashville. Anyway, back to our walk this morning in the direction of the Cumberland River and of course Broadway, where everything is happening in Nashville. We were also keeping in touch via IM and text with Jeff, one of the senior engineers in our business, because Jeff had arrived late yesterday from Texas, and we would be arranging to catch up with Jeff late morning. As we planned our day, which would start of course with barbecue and move on to beer and bourbon. So typical of most US cities, Nashville is configured in a grid system, which makes it very easy to find your way around. And the really cool building that you can now see is called the AT&T building, but it is also referred to as the Batman building, opened in 1994. The building is designed to accommodate up to 2,000 workers, and it's currently the tallest building in Nashville. AT&T, formerly known as Bell South Communications, were the first tenant when the building opened in 1994. And today, AT&T remain the largest tenant, ensuring that their name is attached to the building itself. A lot of people also think that this is AT&T's global headquarters. It isn't, guys. AT&T's global headquarters are in Dallas, Texas. Anyway, I'm going to shut up for a while as Fiona and I continue our walk down to the Cumberland River. As you can see, it was a beautiful day down by the Cumberland River, so it was time to take some photographs. We were now heading for Broadway, and I would love to be able to share with you the sounds from this incredible street in Nashville. However, I would no doubt be breaking copyright rules here on YouTube, so I'm afraid you will have to make do with my background copyright-free music. And as we enter Broadway, I can't really explain it, but there was music coming from every pub and restaurant along both sides of this street.
Worry about my next meal. Else you've been trying to figure out what the hell rhymes with Bronco.
There are simply no words that I can use to explain the musical quality and talent on show here in Broadway. Each of the artists seem to get between 2 and 4 hour slots in each of the pubs and restaurants, and they then play for tips. Fiona, Jeff and I found a really cool pub just off Broadway a little later on this afternoon. I will try to bring you some of the music from that venue a little later in this video, but I am trying very hard not to break YouTube's copyright rules. And it is somewhere just ahead of us on this street, just off Broadway, that we had planned to catch up with Jeff. And there, straight ahead of us, was the man himself. And before you say anything in the comments below, Jeff sadly has been in the wars. Not only had he undergone a little procedure a few weeks earlier, but enjoying far too much the delights of Nashville during the previous evening. Jeff had taken a little tumble and hurt his ankle. But that didn't stop us enjoying one of the best lunches of the entire trip, which included starting the day off with some beer, including some fantastic barbecue for me, and of course mac and cheese, one of Fiona's favourites. And our lunch, of course, was the prelude to an afternoon in the pub, enjoying plenty more beer and even more fantastic, awesome, incredible music.
Gather round her, mother's lady, swinging to the water, dark and dusty, country road. I hear her voice in the morning.
Okay, I'm not sure how much I'm going to be able to show you of this here on YouTube, but as you can imagine, Nashville is full of stag and hen parties, or as they refer to them here in the United States, as bachelor and bachelorette parties. Anyway, to get a free drink, I think the girls would spin the wheel and they would have to then undertake a challenge, which, to be quite frank, normally meant them baring their breasts to the entire bar. I know, guys, it was quite funny the first time, but I think I will just leave it at that.
She stole a kiss as he rode away. He never always had it.
Finished the watch. You're going to see things.
Stealing the young girl's hearts, just like I called her a lady, but she kept on. That late song came in his name. So Father, please forgive me. No, I can't take it one time.
Right, I can assure you our plan wasn't to stay in the same bar all afternoon, but I think we gave this one a really good go. So as we continued our 2022 business strategy session this Sunday afternoon, it was time to move on and see what other delights was available to us in Nashville this afternoon. And that included ending up in a blues bar on Printer's Alley.
What's kind of like a collard green? Got you ready, chomp chomp. They look for bodies in the wood to see. Mama will go working on the tree. See it in the bottom. ain't nothing near as strong as true love.
So after a day in Nashville, drinking lots of beer, bourbon, and eating plenty of barbecue, we ended up in another restaurant, this time of Jeff's choice. And it was a fitting way to finish off our first full day in Nashville, Tennessee. And this is where Fiona and I are going to bring episode 6 of our two-step two-state adventure to a close. I promise, guys, there's lots more to come as we continue our trip to Nashville and then move on to Knoxville in eastern Tennessee. So as Fiona and I make our way back through the rabbit warren of corridors in our Airbnb complex, all that remains for me to say is thank you very much for watching.